Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for returning and listening to us. We promise to keep it brief and to the point, but I think there's some key things that we need to make sure we cover. And I wanted to make sure that we covered the updates and to talk a little bit about the use of funds. But today's session is going to be a two-part. We're going to talk about loan updates and the next steps, and then we're going to talk about the Texas Facilities Commission overview and when we talk about diversifying your business and where opportunities might be that you might not have thought about. I think this is going to be an opportunity for you to learn a little bit about how you can begin to engage in with the government in a lot of what you do, both in products and services. So as usual, the goal is to provide the updates. Like I said, we're going to talk about use of funds. Start with the EIDL loan. I know that a lot of you are wondering where's the money, and that has been a challenge. To date, we're not sure that we haven't heard that we have any distribution of funds on the EIDL loan other than the advanced loan portion of the EIDL application. And so that's still pushing through the process. But I wanted you to think about, remember that you have a use of those funds, or your restricted use of those funds, because now's the time to start thinking about how are you going to use those funds. And remember, from the EIDL position, it's for fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and any other expense that is a typical expense for the operation of the business that would ordinarily have been paid through revenues that are now not existing. The other thing is the timelines are somewhat different between EIDL and the PPP program, and the EIDL process actually begins. The time start date for the EIDL program is the President's Declaration date. And you'll see that would be different than the PPP, because through the legislation of the PPP, they said February 15th for that program. We have heard that some of the SBA advanced loans have been trickling through the system. I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear. You'd like to say, hey, where's my check? And how quickly can I get my hands on it? And it's just simply, even some of those loans that have actually received approval letters, the funds have not yet transferred as of yesterday. So we're still looking at what's going on in the system. It's still an overburdened system. So we continue to say, be patient through the process, and we'll do our best to keep bird dog in that process for you. So hopefully we can get some answers as we go. The payroll protection plan was primarily focused, the PPP Paycheck Protection Plan, primarily focused on payroll. It can be used for interest on mortgage obligations, rent, and utilities. But remember, the bulk of that program is focused on payroll, and that 75% of the loan proceeds needs to be used on payroll to qualify for the forgiveness component of that. The other program we were working with was the debt relief program, and most of you that have existing SBA loans by now know that the SBA is actually making your payment, your principal and interest payments for you for 6 months, and then you would still be eligible for a deferment at the end of that time period for up to 90 days. So you still have quite a bit of room to pull money in for cash flow that would ordinarily be spent on those servicing those debts. The other program you've heard a little bit about, the SBA's Express Bridge Loan Program. We haven't really gone into that in great detail, and part of the reason we haven't is because of its limitations. If your banking relationship is with an express lender, then you are eligible to make that application. If not, you're not eligible. So it's a pretty limited program. And with the Express Loan Program, I believe they're turning those things around in about, 36 hours is what I've been told. but it is a higher interest. It is a more of a traditional loan program. And so qualifications would be different than what are for some of the other programs. We have heard that there are some local assistance programs that are going on. I know the micro lenders put out where they're making loans anywhere from $25,000 up to $60,000, and that would be Axion, People Fund, Lift Fund, and others that have. Their goal, though, is they want to be taken out. So once the EIDL loan has been issued, they expect to be taken out of those proceeds. So this is just really a gap loan program. So those are sort of our updates. I wanted to. The other part of our goal is obviously to listen to you, hear what you all are dealing with, both in the procedural and situational, so that we can address it. The objective is to focus on solutions by starting with the facts as we know them, and to find answers for all of your questions. Some of you have submitted some very complex questions, and it's taken a while and some real hard thought process to work through some of them, but I certainly understand the value of those. We are compiling those questions now. It will probably give me another 2 days of working through that so that I can post that up on our website, but I'm still, it's still caught up in our capacity choke points as well. So I don't have that out, and I apologize that I don't have that out just yet. I wanted to talk about next steps, and because now that everyone presumably has made application to the various programs that they think are the best fit for them, we wanted to talk about what the next steps are. Anytime that you are receiving government assistance, or you are working in a government project, or most projects for that matter, there's always that you're always subject to a desk audit. Where they want to see how are you using the money the way that you said you were going to. Doesn't mean that it will happen, but I think it certainly has the potential to happen. And one of the things I wanted us to kind of review a little bit, and we're in the process of securing a CPA to do a presentation for us on this conversation, but building the audit trail. When you think about once you receive those funds, there's certain ways that you can use those funds. And we want to make sure that you're staying focused on that as well, and that you're tracking that. And our suggestion is first, build the budget of how you're going to use those funds. When you made the application, you established what you were going to use those funds for. Then I recommend you start with that and build a budget on how that's going to be, how those funds are going to be used. And then every accounting system in the chart of accounts, you can create new codes, and I would actually do that for the purposes of tracking these expenses. It's a simple process that it may be even adding a letter to the end of if you have a numeric code in your chart of accounts, just adding a letter to it so that it would indicate to you that these funds were used, these funds were tied to the loan programs, or any of the forgiveness components, particularly because that's where you're going to have to justify how you use the money to be in compliance. So what we're talking about is developing a process that includes a budget, a tracking mechanism, and then a reporting mechanism. And we'll make every effort for next week to be able to introduce you to that process. We have heard some feedback from certain some of the questions that we've gotten back, or some of the surveys that we've heard from, have asked for some cash flow management, and this is certainly a key part of that process. The next thing we want to talk about is preparing for the reopen. You hear a lot about it. Governor Abbott talked about it. Not sure when that's going to happen or how that's going to happen, but there's a couple of things that you need to prepare yourself for. And we're going to try to put together a series of programming that will help you with how to prepare to reopen. Starting with communicating to the customers. I mean, when you're reopening, the customers you used to have, if you hope to retain or to reacquire them and retain them, you're going to have a communication strategy, and that's usually some sort of marketing effort, but it goes beyond that, actually. You need to be rethinking your business. What is your business going to look like now going forward? What it used to be may not necessarily be what it's going to be going forward, and you need to go through a rethinking process. And so we want to put together some thoughts around that and some strategies around rethinking your business. The other thing, and I think is probably the most important thing going forward, is that we will begin to stand up a program in the near future that looks at sustainability of business overall. But the mini series that we're going to talk about now is sustainability and what's involved in sustainability of your business. Obviously, everything's changed. So we're looking at lean management. We're looking at lean operations. Are you efficient? Are you lean? Because part of sustainability is maybe pulling back to those areas that are absolutely necessary for the operation of the business, and those things that where you might have felt a little bit of an indulgence is now focus on the necessities. We're going to look at supply chain contingencies because business has been completely disrupted from supply chain to the customer, and restarting those supply chains is going to be a challenge in and of itself, because you can't get things from certain people from certain parts of the country or from certain parts of the world. So we need to rethink supply chain, and we'll have some conversation around that. The other thing is technology integration. I think if anything that most of us have learned in the last month is we need to be utilizing technology much more, and we are literally what we are doing right now. The Zoom is new to me. The Teams, that's new to me. WebEx is I've been using for a while, but it's been amazing to look at the technology that's available to us and how we can begin to utilize that technology and integrate that technology into our businesses to make us more efficient and effective, and it impact how much it impacts our bottom line. We talked a little bit about repurposing. We're going to talk a little bit about, when we talk about rethinking the business, that has a lot to do with repurposing your goods and services. And then there's capital management. How do I use the capital that I have access to? And all of these things are going to play a role in launching or restarting your business. And so we want to make sure we give you a lot of information around that and give you some actionable items to do to start that process. And with that in mind, we talked about repurpose goods and services. When we talk about rethinking the business, we want you to think about alternative opportunities. So part of today's session was to hear a little bit about what alternative opportunities might look like. And so Ms. Yolanda Strey is with us from the Texas Facilities Commission, and she's going to talk a little bit about what those opportunities look like. A lot of the time, we don't really think about diversifying our business. And I know many years ago with my business, I found a great balance between government contracting and the private sector. And certainly in trying to flatten my seasonality of my business, it was very effective. But even in times now where we have lost a lot of business, don't really understand what that business looked like, having been diversified by using government contracts would have been has been for me in the past, and would have been a good benefit to keep cash flow going. And so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Yolanda and let her share a little bit about that. And when Yolanda is finished, we're going to take questions. But again, thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Francisca, for having me on your webinar today. Again, my name is Yolanda Strey, and I am the Hub Director for the Texas Facilities Commission. The Texas Facilities Commission is the state agency that oversees state and leased owned property. We currently have about 28 million square feet of office, garage, and warehouse. We support over 100 state agencies, and we're in 283 cities across the state of Texas. So our footprint is very large. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the programs we have internally. I also want to include that we to include some of our campuses, we oversee the state school for the deaf and also the school for the blind and visually impaired campuses. So some of the programs we have internally are the state surplus and federal programs. They are there to assist small business owners if you are looking to buy used equipment. We also have state and leased services, property management. We also have a TFC warehouse, what we consider a small Home Depot. So again, we do a lot of construction, and we buy a lot of supplies. We buy office supplies, IT services, anything you can imagine that is in a building. Again, in the 84th legislative session, we received $1.1 billion in construction. So currently, right now, phase 1 of the Capitol Complex and North Austin Complex, we are currently building, and we still have opportunities for you to do business with us. In the 86th legislative session, we received an additional $600 million to do phase 2 of the Capitol Complex and North Austin Complex, which we are planning those procurements right now. So that in general is who we are as TFC. So let's get started on how you can do business with us. Your first step is to schedule a meeting with us. Again, we like to be proactive and learn more about what services you provide. Again, through this presentation, I'm going to be reiterating our website and our email. Again, the TFC website for Hub is www.tfc.texas.gov/gov. And our email is hub@tfc.state.tx.us. Again, you want to schedule a meeting with us, you're going to want to go to our website, and there is a place where you will schedule a meeting and you will fill out an intake form. That will provide us information on your business and how we can align you with the right departments so you can converse on the services you provide. Currently, TFC provides a procurement forecast, which lists all our upcoming procurements. And we also, you can also go to our website to find what is out for solicitation right now. Something new that is happening with TFC is we are now accepting online bids. We are using a software called Bonfire. So again, you want to read the solicitations really closely to find out what the steps are to submitting your bids. Also, Joe touched on repurposing your business. Again, in times like what we're going through right now, it is so essential that you do business with various different types of opportunities, state, federal, private, just in case something does happen where the funding for a project is no longer available. So again, it is essential to learn how to do business with government entities. Some of the tips I can give you is, again, you want to learn the types of procurement methods that the state uses. Here at TFC, we do have classes on how to submit a solicitation for TFC projects. I will go over when those will happen. One is coming up in May. Again, you want to research to make sure that the state agency or government entity that you are trying to pursue, that you provide services and resources for that agency. Again, so you want to research that agency. Next, you want to find out if you can provide a presentation or meet via Zoom with the clients to present what you provide. Again, it's so essential that you are working with that agency to be able to provide what they're looking for. Again, I don't know if everybody on this webinar knows about the historically underutilized business. Again, you want to find out if you can get Hub certified. Again, the State Comptroller's Office is the agency that oversees that certification. So again, one of the steps you can do is go get Hub certified. There is vast information on that topic. Again, if you need help, you can always call our office or the Comptroller's Office. I am going to discuss that there is a new statewide Hub manager. Her name is Maya Ingram. She has been on at her job for maybe a couple of months, and we welcome Maya to our program as she leads us through helping all Hub vendors learn how to do business during this time. Again, some of the upcoming trainings we are having are, again, we are reevaluating our OSHA 30 program to see if we can bring that webinar through a webinar. We are doing writing a winning proposal sessions. We are doing webinars with our prime vendors. We are continuing to do our pre-solicitations through webinars, and we are doing meet and greets through webinars. So again, we are continuing to provide opportunity for you to understand our process and meet the primes who can help you get potential work. I am going to touch on some of the COVID protocols at TFC, mostly as it pertains to construction sites. Our FDC team, our facilities design and construction team, was very proactive when this started and requested every general contractor to update their safety programs to include a COVID process. Again, all these processes do follow OSHA and Department of State Health Services protocols. Again, there are signs posted. There are safety meetings that are limited to a short group of individuals. Again, what we are focusing on is prevention of the COVID. Again, let's see what else I have. Again, I'm going to end with some tips. Again, remember, this is all about relationships. So again, get in there and meet these clients, agencies, primes. Again, every state agency has a Hub coordinator who is there to assist you in doing that connection. Again, do not overcommit your business. Find out what that agency is looking for and become the solution. Again, you want to make sure you keep your marketing material up to date. Again, if you're having to reshift your business, make sure that is in your marketing material. Again, and the last is, it's not what you sell, it's what the client is buying. So again, research is really crucial at this time, and that communication. So you are, you can present very positive or not proactive or to that agency. Again, I'm trying to look at what we have here. Again, if you are in construction, we do have information on the OshCon program where you can update your safety program, and we have contact information on that. And again, please visit our website again at www.tfctexas.gov/hub for all the information on doing business with TFC. That's all I have. Joe, back to you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Yolanda. Those are some good things to think about as we talk about repurposing our business and rethinking our business, and where might we find new opportunities going forward, because everything has changed, and it is something we're going to have to adjust to going forward. So thank you so much for those comments and that discussion. I did want to take a step back because there's been a couple of updates that I needed to bring up and I didn't. On the advanced loan program that many of you have made application to, they have changed that program in the way they're administering it. Now it's instead of the previous calculation, they're saying that $1,000 per employee up to the $10,000 on the advanced loan program, and that you would more than likely have to reapply. They're having issues with the different platforms, and so this is why it seems frustrating to all of us, and it is frustrating to all of us, but it's easier for to have the masses reapply than to try to use what limited capacity they have in these organizations to go back and flip all the switches and move everything around. And so on that advanced loan program, they have asked that you reapply and that you apply with the condition of, based on the number of employees, $1,000 per employee up to the $10,000 mark. The other thing that came out late last week, and or maybe it was over the weekend, the rumor mill has been running well, and the conversation was that there was a cap on the EIDL at 15,000, and that's simply not the case. That may have been where a particular applicant was capped based on what they qualified for. But the cap is still at $2 million. That doesn't mean that you will receive $2 million. You will receive what you qualify for. And so the assumption that, well, now we have caps on the EIDL loan, that is not accurate to my knowledge at this point. I have not received any notification that any of those things have changed. So some of what we're listening to may be what's happening for individuals, but not necessarily the whole group. Now with that, I'd like to open it up to questions. We try to get as many questions as we can from you all and try to answer those questions. And I'm going to let Francisca hit me with whatever you guys have, and we'll try to, and I'll do my best to answer the questions.
I don't see any just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and share the information that Yolanda had shared. Sorry, with regards to the hub talk. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we have this upcoming. Yolanda, do you want to explain to them what this is that's coming up?
Yes, again, this is a comptroller's statewide hub program event. Again, Maya Ingram, our new statewide manager, will be hosting some sessions on helping businesses on doing business with the state of Texas. This is our first session that will be tomorrow at 10 o'clock. There is that link where you can go register. Again, this is all new to us, so we are getting together to make sure that anyone wanting to do business with the state of Texas has all the answers and resources needed to make that decision. Again, these sessions will happen, and again, just teaching you what you need to do business with the state. Any questions? Every state agency is here to help you if you desire to do business with the state of Texas.
Can I ask you a question on this, Yolanda? Do you know if these will be recorded if somebody's unable to attend them?
I can find that out, but I think they were going to record some. I will get with Maya. I believe DIR is partnering up with them to provide that IT service, but I will give you that information when I find out.
Okay. If anybody has any questions, please drop them in the chat box so that we can see them. I don't see any just yet. Is there anything else you want to go over, Joe or Yolanda?
Well, I think we have some other questions, some older questions that we can probably address a little bit while we're looking to see what was out there. Previous questions we had was, do you have to take the amount figured out by SBA, or can it be less? And the answer is yes. You do not have to take whatever the calculated amount is from the SBA. You can do less, but you can't do more. So only they're the ones that make the determination of what the maximum loan amount would be. Another one was, why can't existing loans be refinanced or consolidated under the EDIL? And that's simply because the purpose of this is to cover cash flow needs. not refinance needs. And it would be a misuse of funds from a legislative or standpoint. From the legal standpoint, you can't refinance the existing loans with cash flow loans. So the other one that came out was, can the idle loan be used to pay suppliers before and after the COVID-19 situation? And the answer to that one is no, because there is a timeline. It's a frame there between February the 15th and for that designated period, which I'm trying to remember what the end date was now. But there's an 8-week projected period there that the funds can be used for expenses within that window, and not before or after that window, unless the president extends it and the Congress extends it. But other than that, you have to keep all of that kind of within that same time frame. Question came up was, can a loan be paid off early? Yeah, there's no prepayment penalty related to either the idle or the PPP or any of the other loan products, except for a 504 product, which I do not believe is a part of this application process. So does the SBA require the borrower to take out a life insurance policy to cover the loan amount? See, that was a good question, because the borrower on the EIDL will be required to provide a personal guarantee on loans over $200,000, which may require a life insurance policy as part of that on the that application on Form 148. That will need to be discussed with the case manager. So there's a potential of that because of the potential collateral requirements and that sort of thing, but I can't say definitively that it does. And one person said that, what if I become disabled? Is the loan forgiven? Then no, the loan is only forgiven under the conditions that they presented, which is if you meet the PPP loan and the advanced loans have a forgiveness component, but you meet the conditions of payroll, and then you can make that up. So a lot of the questions are about how to use the funds, which are not really qualified to basically refinance other loan products, and that's just simply not possible. There was a question that came out about how do I use both the PPP and the unemployment benefits, and so there's a combination that we've talked about, that part of, you can reduce your payroll expense up to 25% and still qualify for forgiveness, but you have to use that money for the payroll. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that the shared program with the Texas Workforce Commission unemployment benefit will pick up unemployment benefits, will pay up to 40% of in the shared program, where the business has to do at least 60% of the payroll, and the Workforce Commission will pick up the other 40, up to the other 40, from 10 to 40% and unemployment benefits, so that they make the employee whole. But you have to be careful when you're using these two programs that you remember, one says up to 40%, but the actual loan product says you have to have 7, so you can only use 25%. You can only reduce your expense by 25% and still be in compliance. So we're hearing about people trying to find that mix, and I believe the regulations allow for it, but it's something, again, you want to be very careful about in how you manage those funds and how you track those funds, because that will become a compliance issue going forward.
I just have a question. This is from Brenna. She's stating she owns a dance studio. Any suggestions on what to submit as a business activity on the streamlined EIDL application?
I'm not sure that I really understand the question at this point. her bid for, to how does she classify her business? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All right. What is, if her, that depend, it really has to do with the structure of her business. It is a service oriented business. But if she is, if what's her actual legal structure, has to do with that's what they're looking for on the IDLE applications. What her business activity is based on the type of business that she is. She's a service oriented business that that provides instruction and and space for that instruction. So it's a very specific question. I'd be happy to work with her offline about that.
Okay, yeah, Brenna, just send us an email at sbdc@txstate.edu, and then I'll get with Joe on that. We have another question. Can you provide training to help small business rethink our business models?
Yes, in fact, that's what we're working on now, and hopefully within the next week, we will have we'll have something we can begin to roll out. Because I think that is the next steps, is that we need to be thinking about, you need to rethink your business model going forward, and where your opportunities might be, and what your business is going to look like once you're prepared to reopen. So yes, that's coming.
Okay. And then I guess just a couple more things. Tomorrow we have the cybersecurity webinar tomorrow at 10 o'clock. That is still open if you would like to register. And then I guess for Tuesday, since we're only going to have these once a week now, I guess what we're going to shoot for Tuesday, Joe, is we're going to try to see if we can bring in a CPA to discuss those questions.
That's correct. Yeah, I think it's important that we begin now to focus on building the audit trail. Not that you're going to actually, you know, it's a very small percentage that actually has the audit. But if it happens to be you, you're going to want to make sure that you're ready. And so we're going to talk about how do you track that you're using the funds the way that you said you were going to. And I think it's a good practice for you to establish your budget, use your budget so that you make sure you're using the funds in the way that you said you would when you made application. And I know a lot of you now are wondering, well, yeah, it'd be great if I ever get the money, I'll have a budget, but it is coming. We have been notified that some of our clients have already been awarded, not yet received, but have been awarded funds. So.
Okay, a couple more. I know there's a question with regards to cash flow projections, help with that. Joe and I, we are still working on trying to do a workshop in relations to that. And then a question for Yolanda, are TFC construction projects still active?
Yes, we are still active. I mean, we never shut down at all. So we continue to have work. Just like Joe is mentioning, sometimes you're going to need to think outside the box and look at a project and maybe partner up with somebody, or two companies come together and use each other's labor. So again, a lot of our projects are really big or huge. They're hundreds of millions of dollar projects. And then we have smaller deferred maintenance projects, and then we have smaller renovations. So it is really crucial that you come see us so we can position you in the right project. Again, go to our website, schedule a meeting. We will do video, teleconferencing, phone, whatever you need. But again, construction has not stopped for TFC.
All right. Well, do we have any more questions, Francisca? Is that it? All right. Thank you all so much for listening to us this morning. I hope that you've got some things, some takeaways that you can work on. More to come. These will probably become more intense now when we start talking about the reopening process, and the challenges of getting the money will hopefully pass soon. Most of you have probably already made application or in the process of making application, and we're still here to help you with that process. But I think we want to move to the next step, and that is, let's reopen your business, and let's understand what that business is going to be and how you're going to communicate that message of who you are and what you can do and to what audience are you going to communicate that with. And so stay tuned for our next steps. Thank you all so much for participating.